We are live.
Really? All right, I'm going to sing then.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes,
So-
congratulations to Belgium.
All right. Thank you,
We have a
Matt.
special guest today.
Yeah, hold on. Apparently, something I did not know is that Mazzy and Elliot were doing like, what are you wearing today? What are you going to wear?
Wait, hold on now, Rob. What two types of shirts do I wear?
Honestly, Elliot,
Never
I'm-
noticed. Before,
I don't know, but you can tell me. Tell me, Elliot.
Bowling shirts and
Yeah.
Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah, he
That's
does. He does. My late
now-
friend Larry, my friend drummer, brought this back from Maui from me about 20 years ago. And so in honor of his passing 13 years ago, I'm wearing it today.
Oh.
And in honor of Wyatt being here. When in
I
Rome,
appreciate. Very nice.
So wait, you're honoring Wyatt with some dead guy's hat?
yes.
Very nice.
I have Hawaiian shirts, but there's no need
No.
to
Well, this is just what I wore today. I mean, I always wear these things.
all right, good. You're the ambassador to North Carolina with your Hawaiian shirt. So everyone, Wyatt made posts that he'd be on this morning. I kind of alluded to it, but I don't know if I reached out to him, but on his comments, I said, come up here. I feel like whatever way people are deciding or siding with the type of content that Wyatt makes on his channel, I felt the best way to move forward was to make him a real person and not some sort of thing. And he nicely agreed to come up here. I don't think it's 4 a.m. Is it like 5 o'clock where you are, Wyatt? 5
Yeah, it's
a.m.?
4 a.m.
4 a.m. Wow, it is
Mhm.
3 hours. So he was nice enough to get up really early. I don't know what your schedule is. If he woke up early for us, I appreciate it. But it's really, I feel like he needs to be made a real person. That's what I feel. I don't know what he feels, but we'll see what happens. So one thing I don't want to happen is like endless attacks or assuming his motivation for what he does. But it's up to him to tell us what his deal is. So let me put you over here. Keep Mazzy away from you.
I'm right next to it. There we go. Thanks.
Okay. So let's just start off, Wyatt. Are you from Hawaii? Maui?
I grew up here. I actually was born in Santa Barbara, California, and moved here when I was 5 years old.
Okay.
So,
And always
Been here
on
most of my
Maui?
life.
Always on Maui, not on...
yes.
Okay.
So I'm a local.
Local. I've only been to Oahu, so that's my experience in Hawaii. But what as far as I don't know if you want to say how old you are. What are you, Gen?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm 37. So
30. Okay, cool.
not as young as I look.
When did you get into? Are you collecting vinyl, or what's your experience with vinyl?
Well, I got into it in my early 20s. I was renting a treehouse in the jungle, and I got my first record player and started collecting like classic reggae albums. And I always was into all types of music. And then at some point, I kind of let go of it. And then during COVID, I started getting back into it because I noticed a lot of people were making videos, and I'm like, oh, I really do love vinyl. And I still had a lot of records that I had collected back in my early 20s. So I started up again then.
But you held on to your records.
Yeah, I held on to my records, but I didn't have a record player for a time. And yeah.
What's it like collecting records in
In a
in
treehouse?
Maui? I mean, are there a lot of are there sources, or is it mostly online?
Well, we have one store here called Request Music, and honestly, it didn't have a lot of selection for me, so I ended up ordering online mainly.
Interesting.
Socially in Maui, what have you connected with people that collect vinyl?
Honestly, no one. And that's one of the reasons I kind of made a YouTube channel because I kind of wanted to start connecting with the community more because I don't know anyone that's into it. And I recently got into audiophile records at the beginning of the year and sort of changed my system a little bit and started trying to find better sounding records.
Who did you connect with initially in the vinyl community? Most people, it's this guy right here. And my feeling is they watch him and go, I can do that. And what usually happens is most people can't do that. So,
well, honestly, what I did is I was selling on Whatnot. So I was selling some of my own collection for a while. I had a show called Vinyl Appreciation. And that's how a lot of people got to know me. And I think I kind of got a little comfortable on camera. And then that sort of ended because I got rid of everything that I was wanting to get rid of. And I tried buying in to do the whole selling thing, but it just wasn't worth it living in Maui sourcing records. Wasn't making any money.
Right.
I mean, what is Maui like as far as are there retired people there? What's the demographics of Maui?
Well, it's actually quite interesting. You have all different types of people here, all different types of nationalities, retired, young people. And yeah, it's kind of a mixing pot.
Because my knowledge of Maui is, what is it? Was it 2 years ago with the
Lahaina fire.
fires and stuff like that? And
Well, everybody who listened to Logism Machine in the 70s, they had that song Lahaina. That's when I first went to Maui. We stayed in Lahaina, as I said to Wyatt before, in Napili Shores, which is north of Napili, which is north of Lahaina. It's a beautiful area. So,
can I say something real quick? I've only been to Hawaii once. I went to the Napili Kai Hotel, and there's something called a Napili Slam. Very effective, very effective. It's a drink, and it works.
Oh, cool.
Well, thank you too for helping us to get to know Wyatt a little bit more.
A Napili Slam made an impression on me.
Okay, thank you. So getting back to it, again, geographically, I don't know how many people live on Maui. What's the population like?
Oh, it's pretty small.
Yeah.
I have to check again. I think it's over 200,000.
Okay,
Something
so
like
it's a good amount of people there.
Mm-hmm.
You stay put. You don't wander off to other places, right?
No, I'm actually a caretaker. So I take care of a autistic man. I've been with him for like 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be in the school system working with disabled people.
Ah.
Yeah.
God,
so I
now we're
caretake for
really
my vinyl the same way.
We're going to really feel guilty of saying anything bad about you now. You're doing something good for humanity.
Well, and I honestly, I'd never want to say this to anyone, but the person you're probably most like is the guy who's right under you, Elliot Cruz. So,
oh, that's not. Oh,
we have Danny K joining us.
Danny.
Hey, Danny.
What's up, Wyatt?
What's up?
How you doing, my friend?
Aloha. Doing good.
Aloha, mahalo.
So, does the person you take care of give a crap about music and vinyl and stuff?
He loves listening to music with me in the car, but he's nonverbal.
Oh.
So there's different ways we communicate, but music is one of the ways we communicate. Yes.
And because I teach too, but my limited knowledge about autistic people is like that sort of thing is the way to communicate with them and stuff like that. So, but I don't know a lot.
Well, the range of autism.
We know that.
Autism is a spectrum. The range is vast.
No, if you're nonverbal,
yes,
nonverbal people. Right?
Yeah, just these 6 squares is quite the range of autism.
Mazzy, could you be nonverbal right now, please, while we talk to one? So cool. And as far as your training for working in the school system and stuff? Did you go to school for that or what?
Yeah, a little bit,
Okay.
but yeah,
It sounds like you transitioned from the school system to specifically caring for this person
yes.
in his day
I
to day
used to work
needs.
for a private school in upcountry Maui for a few years, and then they sort of moved on to another location, and then I went in sort of private sector.
Speaking of transitioning,
Hey, Patrick.
Patrick.
Hello.
Hi,
So
Patrick.
let me get to the chase here a little bit. I think it's great that Wyatt's here and come up because there was a little bit of a kerfuffle, controversy, and stuff. A little bit.
Before you go there, Mazzy, when did you start your channel?
Okay.
I started my channel just a little over 4 months ago.
Okay, and what was the of your first video that you did?
First video, I believe, was 4 essential blues albums for beginners.
That was a good video. I watched that. I like that.
Yeah.
And what pushed you in the direction to sort of go into controversial
Controversy.
type of subject matter?
I think I was just sort of inspired because I started getting into better sounding records. Before I was just, collecting ordinary stuff. And when I started getting some audiophile records, it was sort of inspiring. I'm like, so I wanted to talk about it. And I was starting to learn and research how the science of the cutting lathe works and the great engineers. And I just kept getting more and more fascinated with it.
Now, I think the one video that kind of shot you into the stratosphere of the VC was the Super Sense thing.
That's right.
So I don't know how you are like normally with your social outrage, but I mean, did you make the video because it kind of, I don't know if you're short tempered or what. Did you,
Well, it was
your reasoning for making that video?
the reasoning was I was watching the Steve Westman video, and when he was asked about if he could get another copy of the tape, and he said he could just reorder copies. So for someone new in this, that was a little alarming to me. I was like, what does that mean? You're telling me you're pulling out the original master tape, potentially baking it every single time you need a copy. So, at the time, that was a little alarming to me. And I just had some honest questions. Now, SuperSense came onto my channel immediately, and they promised that they would answer all my questions. And they actually they told me they left a comment on Steve Westman saying, we were willing to answer all your questions, but you avoided us. And you have every reason to ask them. So that was a little confusing. So then I was like, well, feel free to answer them right now. And then they retreated. And then I started getting attacked by many people, and it made me concerned that maybe there is something going on, when really I was being misled to believe that. But I thought those questions should have been just easily answered.
And since then, have you communicated with Super Sense at all in any shape or way?
No, I've moved on from the whole thing.
Yeah,
As you saw, I've taken down the videos. It was a learning process, and I've moved on.
I took down my video because I went after you again because I felt you misquoted me. I think the thing that some of us got a little upset about is you kind of threw these things towards a company without any validation. Like, we can always say we know someone in our country who just says stuff. It's fake news. It's fake this.
God, here we go.
No. Yeah, well, but Mazzy, let's be real, okay? We have enough examples in the VC to make comparisons.
Thank you.
My whole journey through this has been with a kind of humorous tint to it.
Sure.
Because I realize how ridiculous stuff like this is. And obviously I do have my battles with people. I really don't take to the people who have delusions of grandeur and latch on to controversy, and they're always chasing the next controversial thing. That was my
Right.
Um,
Well, that's what I.
Yeah, well, I mean, I nicknamed you the Hawaiian guy because you're from Hawaii, and it just seemed fine without, because I've given nicknames that were purposely
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
no.
And I don't think Hawaiian guy is a bad nickname at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
I'm fine with it.
That's a
Like-
friendly, happy nickname.
by
It's
the
better
way,
than the
hi,
North
don't-
Carolina guy. That's for
yeah,
sure.
don't ever call Elliot a
Well,
hillbilly.
I just thought going after someone without evidence. That's my point. I mean, whether I'm not
Well,
even, you don't
Well,
have to.
but let's
Well,
face it, the Austrian guys, I think, could have done a better job with their PR department, which they obviously don't have, in refuting these substantiations a lot more clearly than they did.
But the most respectable person here, and I'm sorry, as far as this stuff is concerned, is Danny, because Danny puts the work in and he has the knowledge. That's my experience with Danny. But Danny has a good sense of humor about it, that it is not the end all be all. This is not serious.
Right.
That being said, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Danny, you were sort of the first person to introduce this Super Sense, these lacquers. But it was always my understanding that there were two sides on this lacquer thing. And like the In-Groove believes you can't play these forever, and Michael Fremer believes you can. So this controversy already existed. And the MoFi Gate controversy, which a lot of people clamped onto and made it their essence in the VC. There was not like the Thriller thing. So these one steps. So we've always been part of this. So I don't feel like attacking Wyatt for his take on asking questions and making these videos was any different than anybody else who went after these companies for what.
Let me ask you this, Wyatt. I think part of the reason, at least for me, I can only speak for myself, I think it's similar, is that you came on strong like that. And that's great. You made a good video. You had it planned out. You had a script you put together, whatever. That's why some people thought AI, whatever that is. You had a script, apparently, obviously. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we didn't know. I think, at least I wanted to know, where are you coming from? I don't know. I didn't know anything about you as a collector, not your personal job and all that stuff. But okay, I have this record collection. I'm into the blues. Apparently, I didn't see that video. Into other things. I think that, like, there are a lot of VC people do an introduction video, and I don't think that happened with you. And so we want to get a sense of where you're coming from. I've been collecting for 5 years, 50 years. I'm into this music, that music. I have a stereo. You don't have to get into the details if you don't want to show your gear, but that's the kind of thing. I think it's a good baseline. And then you go wacko or what, left or right, whatever. Anyway,
you make a video every time someone dies. So yeah.
Well, my trailer video, I kind of go over how I started and kind of what my mission and what I'm doing. And basically, I'm just continuing my own education and doing research for these videos. So I'm not claiming to be an expert. I'm looking to science. So like, that's why you hear me referencing Kevin Gray and Steve Hoffman and the people that actually know, and I'm learning from them and then sharing what I'm learning. And I do work on scripts, you know what I mean? Like some of these scripts take a few hours, 3 or 4 hours for me to complete. And I do that so I can be correct. You know what I mean?
Even the Kevin Grays and Steve Hoffmans don't have the same opinions as, like, those two don't like one steps, and other people are promoting the one steps.
All right. A lot of people here are waiting for me to scream and yell at Wyatt. That's not my intention for having him here, because I never got the impression he was malicious.
Well, you didn't think he was real in the first place. So.
Well, no, I wasn't.
It's very AI.
I've walked up to Jim where he had a conversation for 10 minutes with a tree, and then
well, Jim's really high all the time, so I mean that's another story.
I thought it was AI. What can I tell you?
And it looks very AI. And I mean,
can I just say,
obviously you're using a lot of AI to create your content. I just wish you'd, just my personal opinion, be a little more real to us. you know, move around a little bit and just maybe shoot from different spots and let us see that it's really.
Dude, Wyatt, do what you want to do, man. I mean,
Yeah, really.
do whatever the hell you want to do.
Hold on.
Especially
Every single one of us has gone through this. Because I was teaching my class and I went back and looked at my old videos that literally have 53 views. So Wyatt's been doing this for 4 months.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
But the one thing Wyatt did that I didn't do was go after controversy, and then the controversy went after him. So,
well, I mean, he made one video that was super controversial. The rest of the stuff that he's doing, like I mean, I don't really agree on everything like the Kevin Gray shit. You know, Kevin Gray doesn't walk on water for me. But I mean, like the CD thing, I've been saying the CD thing, like they used questionable sources for years, man. Like they pulled whatever tape they could find when they were making CDs. I totally get it. You know, so it's not like every video he's made has been like this thing, you know. So if you actually watch the videos, you know, there's a lot of truthful information in there. You know, there's stuff we all disagree on all the time, every day. So
the problem I have though is Wyatt's been collecting records for about 1/10 as long as I have, and he knows 100 times more than I ever will.
I don't know. I'm not an expert. I don't.
More than I ever will about the shit you know about.
Guys, at the end of the day, it's a freaking hobby.
Right.
It's
fun. It's, dude, you're listening to music. We're not, we're not creating, limitless energy here. You can't take yourself too seriously. In fact, I think that was one of the comments I made to Wyatt. And by the way, I have to say, Wyatt was the first guy to reach out to me out of the blue when I made the first Fleetwood Mac Rumors AI video. And to his full credit, I mean, he reached out. He was very friendly. I was like, great. There's a new guy that's on the block that's like picking up on what I'm doing. Fantastic. More power to him. And like I said, dude, this is a hobby. It's freaking playing records. Who gives a shit at the end of the day?
No, but that
I still roll.
We all give a shit. Basically, we really do. The rest
wait,
be here.
And why just take a swig from some vodka?
No, it's a big water jug.
Okay, but
it is.
And
too early for that.
But no one in the advice people are giving and stuff. It's like up to you to do it. I just feel like it might be. Yeah. Might be.
All right, I just moved my
people are going to tell you to clean your records with WD-40, throw them in the dishwasher, all kinds of shit, man. So
only listen to Patrick or me when it comes
only
to
listen to Patrick.
I would be okay with that. Elliot is a savant when it comes to cleaning records. He can definitely get you on the budget train to get your records as clean as humanly possible. So. But that's only because we listen to the right people.
Hold on one second.
That's right.
Barry, we're talking to Wyatt. Join in the conversation. This is not a soccer live stream.
Mazzy will be hosting a political roundtable immediately following this live stream.
So is it true that Mazzy got involved and forced Rob to drop the red card and bring Wyatt up here today? Is that how
I heard Mazzy attacked Serena Williams with a tire iron. That's why she's out of Wimbledon.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Can I just add something to the conversation? Why I would urge you, and nobody's telling you what to do, but just some comments about what we see and things maybe might help. I know you're very, very firm about not talking about your gear, but and you say that the audiophile bullies will ridicule you or tear you down based on your gear. I've never. I mean, most of us talk about our gear. I've never encountered any of those people. Maybe because I'm not as much of an audiophile as some of you are. But I would, given that you're talking a lot of technical stuff, which is interesting. I would urge you to rethink that, because people, I would be interested in what your setup is. And nobody, nobody here is going to downgrade anything that.
Give him
that
6
you've
months
done
to
because
work
of
on
the
it,
setup.
Elliot. Give him a few months to work on it.
Yeah.
Then
Well, I know you're very firm about not talking about what your gear is. I would love to see a room tour or something like that video and see what and you tell us about your gear. That's
Elliot,
my 2
there used
cents.
to be a rule in the Hoffman forums that if you're going to start comparing pressings and talking about pressings, you're supposed to put your gear in your profile. They tend to loosen
You had to put your gear.
Yeah, you don't really have to anymore, but it only gives a barometer. It's not making fun or saying someone is too expensive or too cheap.
Hold on.
Wait.
Hold on. I want to address something.
It's a barometer.
Hey, Dean, take a chill pill. Okay.
What's he
The
upset
convers-
about?
I don't know. He's being just Dean, relax, enjoy the show. We're learning about Wyatt, but all these old guys keep giving Wyatt nonsense information.
Don't blame it on the boomers.
It gives a barometer of how you perceive that music.
But
if
hold
Pibiathal
on.
is talking about a best pressing, we kind of know what he plays it on, and
You don't know what I play. You have no idea what I play it on.
You've shared gear. You've shared gear before.
Guys,
I
Wyatt hasn't said anything in 10 minutes. Shush.
Okay.
So Wyatt,
Well,
do you want to? I'll be honest with you. I've achieved a nice setup because Jim's help. Believe it or not, people, his tutelage, I weed out all the nonsense. But I think it's good to say your gear because it'll help everybody with your journey through this hobby. Because it'll stuff.
Hey, let me ask you a question. If you're someone who relies more on measurements, does gear matter that much? And I'm assuming that you rely more on measurements, Wyatt, but I don't know.
Well, I think the gear does matter. I don't think that you need thousands of dollars worth of gear to get a good sound.
Right.
And I think anyone can go get a good
synergy.
stylist. Yeah. And that's why, like, if you look at the signal path and you do the right things to, get the right amp and all these things, you can achieve great sound. And that's part of one of the messages I was trying to get across to people, and I think I did a video recently on the entry-level system, which I'll come on the record and say that I started out with that system. And
bigger on equipment.
Hold on. No one is trying to gear shame him. We don't. If he doesn't want to say what he has, that's his decision. That being said, it's up to him to say I don't want to.
And to be honest, today people, the record companies today, they pattern and they master their music more for what his system is, the low end system. They master it for ear.
Well, we don't know that's
and all that.
We don't know what his system is.
What I'm saying is nowadays music is more tailored for a low end system than it is for a high end system.
It always has.
The record companies,
more like my system. More like my system, Patrick.
Yeah, you can get you can get an old freaking Pioneer belt drive turntable. You could have it come with an old Empire fucking or fucking Shure N97E, whatever, hyper elliptical Shure version 4. And have it sound just absolutely fine. Get an old Marantz receiver, and you're good to go. You don't have to have a massive system.
Hold on, Elliot Cruz, is your go-to turntable a dual that you redid? You fixed?
Currently, I'm using a different turntable, but it's an inexpensive. I paid $350.
Do you want to say what it is?
You want to tell us what it is? You're going to keep it a secret, sir.
I don't even know the name of it. It's a boutique, boutique turntable that was built in your area, Mazzy, in the Washington area back in the 70s. Sonograph S3.
I've never heard of Sonograph.
Hey, Wyatt, your turntable has to be better than that.
But my go-to normally, what I've played on for years and what I enjoy tinkering with, working with, are the dual. The 60s and 70s era duals, the idler drives, the 1219, 1226, and even down into the 60s, the 1019. These are consumer level turntables. These aren't audiophile turntables at all. They will give you a great sound.
Weren't the Idler drives pretty
I play
high
my
end, though?
dual downstairs still.
Hey,
Aren't they what, Patrick?
The Idler, the Idler
said-
drives.
I've said that.
What about the Idler drives?
They
Patrick?
were pretty high end back in the day. They're still high end now.
Well, the duals weren't. The duals were made for
Okay.
regular consumers. Some of the other brands were higher end. Yes.
Can we reel in, guys? Let's all understand that we're here to learn about Wyatt. We know way too much about Elliot Cruz. Way too much. So it's up to, these are suggestions. If it's up to Wyatt, if he wants to tell us what gear he runs. That's all.
So, one of the reasons I haven't shared my gear is because I have been attacked so much. And one of the questions I get all the time from trolls is, what is your gear? Right. And that's fine. But since I've been sort of focusing on education and trying to do research for these videos, I kind of leaned off from doing that. So at some point I may show my gear. I did go into like one of my first turntables, the Audio Technica 120X, which was kind of like a starter table for me. And I made like a video kind of recommending how people can get started, bypass that internal amp, get a microlinear stylus, get the right speakers, like trying to show people you can get pretty good sound at an entry level. And I've used that system and it sounds great. And I've told people, like, say you want to set up another spot to listen to music from your main room. That's a great, easy entry level setup. You want to have family over and, crank it or whatever. So, but I'm more towards education. I want to keep doing.
When they yell at you about your gear, tell them to show them their latest hearing test. So that's what.
Yes,
exactly.
Well,
Thank you.
So I try to avoid confrontation. I'm not someone that wants to fight with people, and I want to keep bringing it back to the
you're
right
in the
focus.
wrong place now. You're in the wrong spot
Yeah,
now.
but I think the point of the gear thing is not, we don't even know the details, but a barometer when you're talking about these Kevin Grays and Hoffmans and certain pressings and things, where you're coming from, or if you're just being a journalist, scientist talking about this thing and you're not a participant. I mean, that's a fair thing too. But I think people to understand if that's the case. By the way,
well, I am.
Today, I don't know, no one has acknowledged yet. Today is Ringo Starr's 86th birthday. So peace and love, everybody.
Who cares?
Yes, happy birthday.
Hold on.
Does he know it? Does he?
Hold
Oh,
on.
they told him?
Guys. Hold on. Leland's saying that Fremer came after you, Wyatt. Is this true?
Yeah, he did. And that actually,
everybody.
that's what fueled the whole Super Sense thing.
You've arrived when Fremer comes after you. So there you go.
Yeah.
So as I said, I put up that first video on Super Sense, and Super Sense came into the chat and they said that we left a comment for you on Steve Westman's saying that we would answer all your questions. And they acted like I avoided them and this and that. And then I welcomed them to answer these simple questions that I was asking. Well, they retreated. Fremer came in and did start attacking me. And so that really kind of fueled me at first because I didn't understand, like, why am I being attacked for asking these questions? And that's kind of where it was taken to where it didn't need to go.
That's his. That's the way he operates. He bullies.
Yeah,
people.
He's been after all of us once at least.
But okay, Wyatt, are you confrontational in your regular life at all like that?
No, I'm not really confrontational. So like it was interesting because I'm not really a conspiracy person or and somehow what happened is when I kept learning, like when I learned about how half speed mastering and one step actually work, I'm like, wait a second. Why are we spending over $100 for a one step that has a digital file? Wasn't a one step supposed to, eliminate plating process to get you closer to an analog original tape? So it was never an attack on these records not sounding good. They sound amazing. Everyone knows these one steps sound great, but I'm like, why are we spending $100 for that tap?
But why you have to admit that your videos did seem to be pointing toward a kind of a conspiracy. You kept doubling down when things were so something as simple as hearing one guy in a studio saying, we just send off and we get a tape from Nashville, and you ran with that for a couple of videos. Let me finish. Sometimes it's
This
better.
is going to be a while. Why?
Yeah, I'm very concise. I'm like Ernest Hemingway, but sometimes the simplest answer is the right answer, and you seem to latch on to whatever could be the most conspiratorial answer to the questions you bring up, rather than the opposite.
Well, I would say that I thought I was going to get those answers when I made the first video. But honestly, what fueled it a little bit is I didn't understand at the time that you could just make copies on demand of original master tapes. So that was kind of my initial like, wait a second now. You're ordering another copy when you wear it out? Isn't there a huge process? And then when the video was sent, Danny sent me his video or told me to watch it, where he went to SuperSense and there was the SuperSense worker, and it was saying that we make copies from the Nashville hub. Well, when I looked that up, I'm like, well, there's a Nashville Iron Mountain Digital Center in Nashville. Now, at the time, no one answered any of the questions about Iris Studio and where they're actually making copies.
Have you heard from Iron Mountain at all?
No, of course
They're
not.
They're a third party. They can't.
Mazzy. I know who
So
they are.
at the time when I saw that SuperSense worker say that, I'm like, wait a second, that's a digital Iron Mountain hub. I didn't understand that those tapes were sent to a studio in Nashville named Iris Studio. Well, no one was saying that. And at this point, I've been attacked for a while.
But you're taking out the information that's not said, thinking it's fact, and you present it as
well. Michael Kramer didn't answer that.
Conspiracy.
There's a lot of people that could have told me that. No one did.
But they don't tell.
I was open to the.
They don't tell any of us that.
Well, Matt.
Yeah, and I understand that now.
Mazzy. To be fair to Wyatt, again, and Wyatt, if you come up more, I promise everyone, I will attack Wyatt. I promise you. but let's be real. Hey, Craig's here.
Yeah. Hey, Craig.
So we all comment on how the stream is way better that Jim's chair is here instead of Jim.
Yes.
Hey, dear me.
So let's get back to it.
Sorry, because I got to bail.
Hold on. Okay, then you could do a Harry style.
I've had it with this shit.
Okay, so let's really get back to the understanding. Listen. Wyatt's already done the most difficult part of having a VC channel. He's broken through. Whether he's been doing it for 4 months or whatever, it's what he chooses to do with this notoriety, right? So my feeling, like what I do, I think maybe trying to get these people to communicate with you might be the better moving forward. Because what you just did now, defending your stance with I don't know, Elliot or somebody here, you just did it now. I thought it showed you're more three-dimensional than reading what your script.
Honestly, I've moved on from that whole thing because it was settled. So I don't really want to keep.
But there's always another thing.
A lot of people always forget. I mean, maybe you don't forget, but all these companies and all the people, the Kevin Grays, the Hoffmans, the Iron Mountains, they have NDAs. They cannot divulge. You're getting hired. I would be hired by clients, and I can't reveal what goes into the production of a photo shoot or a film shoot. We can't talk about that. And that it's just, you're not going to get hired again if you do, for one thing. And it's just not a common thing. So even Kevin, like the other night if you watched, I'm sure you did, Westman with Steve Hoffman. Again, Steve Hoffman asked him about double 45s. He doesn't like double 45s. Yet people will say, yeah, but you made Fleetwood Mac the best rumors double 45. Yeah, turn your 33 up a little bit. It's virtually the same. But then buyers will still say how great 45s are. But you know, he's not working in that venue right now, so he doesn't have to be as careful as maybe a Kevin Gray, someone who is still getting hired to do those double 45s. That's just one example, or half speed masters or something.
And let's bear in mind that we are unknowns to these record companies and things like that. They don't know. They know we're making videos if we ask them these questions.
Speak for yourself, Elliot Cruz.
You're
they
unknown.
all know who I am.
Well, maybe so now. But they don't know.
Frank knows who I am.
If they send you a message, a email, or anything, and talk to you on the phone, or they don't know what you're going to do with it, for better or worse. So they have to be cautious about just, saying, communicating with you, not knowing how you could use that because they don't know.
Oh, okay.
Well, when they dived in and said they would answer all my questions, I didn't know there was an NDA agreement. I didn't know any of those things.
Well, that's a standard in business. I don't know if they have one specifically, but that's just you don't piss in your pool. You don't, piss in your friend.
And if they say that, they may come back, another guy there at the firm may come back and say, hey, we don't really know this guy. Do we really want to be talking to him about these issues with our product?
It's just a tape source. It shouldn't be so hard, Just telling us where you get your tape.
So,
yeah, I agree.
Hello, Wyatt.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello. How you doing?
Doing good.
Good. So Wyatt and I, when this was all kicking off, Wyatt and I actually shared a lot of messages going backwards and forwards, and we talked about this. The thing about NDAs is not everyone is aware of an NDA. I'm aware of them because I've been signing them since 1991 for various things. But if you don't know about them, you can't just assume that they're there. But once you know about them, and that greatly informs what Wyatt does now moving forward. And he's actually said right from the get-go that he's here to learn, and that's part of the process. My dealings with Wyatt during that, just before he took down the Super Sense videos, I was actually more curious as to how Wyatt was reacting on a personal level, because he'd obviously put this video out in good faith, and then all of a sudden there's just this tsunami of shit rolling in his direction. And I think it's all too easy for the internet, where everyone's very safe behind a keyboard, to sort of like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But actually, I was always very curious to know, from Wyatt's perspective, how did it feel coming into a community that is quite broad and expansive and has been going for a long time, to suddenly find your best intentions have kind of started to impact. Was there an impact on your private life or your sort of state of calmness, where you thought, what's the point? Do I need this in my life? Or did it just kind of fire you to dig your heels in and to fight fire with fire? I was always curious to know where you stood on that.
Well, I'll be honest, I'm kind of relieved that it sort of passed. I'm not someone that wanted to keep feeding the fire. And personally, when I started getting attacked and made fun of, it didn't really bother me. I have pretty thick skin. It kept pushing me to ask questions. But honestly, I was relieved to move on from that whole thing and actually get the answers we did. And that's why you saw I put up a video praising transparency and thanking the community for giving us those answers, or Steve Westman for and whoever came forward. So at the end of the day, it was all about just getting those questions answered. And it did go a little too far. I can admit that. But when you're being attacked and people are angry at you, it makes you wonder what's going on.
Rob can tell you. People are at Rob every day. People are yelling at Rob every day. Trust me. Just do what Rob doesn't do. So
the thing about the community, Wyatt, is that will never go away. Just as much as a guy moaning about not being allowed to do record store day or not getting the allocation 3-4 years ago.
That guy sucks.
Yeah, but that's still a thing. So it will never go away. But as long as you've got broad shoulders and don't pay it too much attention, and certainly don't let it sort of chip away at your confidence. Just keep doing what you're doing, because your videos. You obviously put a lot of time and effort and care into your videos, and okay, so that one didn't go according to plan, but that's that. You got to throw a lot of shit against the wall before something sticks, as we say.
Yeah.
Why, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have taken the videos down. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the reason why. They fall out of the conscience. No, most likely people aren't going to refer to them, but it's if you're doing this and you want your channel to stick and grow, you have to learn from your mistakes. Leaving them up there allows people, if they're new to your channel, to go back and see that stuff.
Because my channel is more geared towards education, I realize that I don't want to have something that's going to continue misleading people. I don't want to continue people saying that there's a digital step if there's not.
Listen, the thing that's hilarious to me is like your journey is similar to mine. Like I got more into this during the pandemic. I don't know everything. I say this endlessly. Every day doing this, I learn. I'm open to it. But the attacks I get, like I know what I'm talking about and I know everything, are so not. It's not the truth. And I rather there's a duality to doing this hobby, or I consider doing this channel my hobby.
Let's be honest, Rob. You've earned a lot of the stuff that you
right, and I don't refute it. I don't refute it, and I think where my skill lies is going after the people who come after me or whatever. But
your journey's changed, man. You started off as the sidekick of somebody who was very polarizing, and you had a shtick going on, and you have morphed from that persona to say into something completely different.
Right,
so,
and
you found your lane, and and that's where you've been.
Right, and I tell like my students, I've been doing this almost 6 years, right? And I say, I didn't find what worked for me until like less than 2 years ago. So, and I don't even know if this is really working for me, but it sort of is. So again, Wyatt, I'm not a fan of caving to people. You were being nice. Mm-hmm. I mean, people are surprised I'm not attacking you for whatever reason now, but I would leave it up. That's my
opinion. I think J.D. Cohen, Mr. J.D. Cohen has a point here. And I said this earlier. I think the fact is not that you'd made these videos, but we didn't know where you're coming from, who you are at all. I mean, just anyone understand that now, and that was, all of a sudden this controversy and the Iron Mountain thing and all that stuff. Now we know, and I think it's a better time to whatever you do now, it's more legitimate. At least hopefully other people will see this and see the human side of you, not the AI side, because and again, as I think whoever said it, do what you do. If that's your style, you want to do it that way, do that way, but make the content maybe a little personal about where you're coming from, how this relates to you, instead of just reporting that Kevin Gray hates this and Steve Hoffman loves this and Super Sense loves that and Danny Kaye doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about with that red and blue wallpaper, all that kind of stuff.
He's moving. He'll be a different color in a month.
So what kind of music do you listen to? I mean, what kind of music do you listen to? I mean, what's your thing?
What's your favorite color?
I love I've been listening to a lot of blues and jazz lately. I've been getting a lot of these Chess 75th anniversaries from Acoustic Sounds. And
there's this little site called the Jazz Bunch you should go check out. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've been trying. At this point, I'm just buying a record if it's going to be the definitive best version I can get. So
how do you decide? Hold on. How do you determine if it's the definitive best sounding version?
Well, it's hard to decide that.
That is the question right there.
Well, it's hard to decide that. So what I do is I look to the science behind how that record was manufactured. I look at the people behind it, and I say, okay, now there are certain people that are doing it right. So this is worth, me spending my money on this. Now, in the past, I was just buying stuff that didn't sound good, and I was led to a lot of disappointment. I got on Whatnot, sold off hundreds and hundreds of records, and then started focusing on trying to get better audiophile quality records. And I'm still on that journey, and I'm still learning what sounds good, of course, but you immediately can tell the difference if a record is manufactured and engineered by someone that knows what they're doing. That's why Craig's records sound great.
Speaking
question,
of which, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I've got a Hawaii related question. So I was in Hawaii. We were filming, I think it was 2018, and we were there just before Christmas for about 3 months. And I only found one decent record shop in Honolulu on the other island. I'm trying to remember its name, not Humbug, something. But what's the record shop situation like on Maui compared to, say, on the other islands? Because I really struggled. The only place that I actually found that sold records was this one shop and Urban Outfitters, which was obviously of no interest to me whatsoever. So what is that scene like where you are?
We have one. Yeah, we have one record store in Maui. It's called Request Music. They're just a small store. They're mostly all CDs, and they have a small used record section and then sealed records. So, honestly, I don't go in there that often because, most of the new records are, twice the price. It's Maui, let's be honest. And, some of the used stuff, but mostly I search online now, there's not much sourcing here. And there's not much of a community that I've connected with. And that's one of the reasons why I made a YouTube channel, is I was trying to connect.
Does Media Mail extend out to Hawaii? They honor Media
the
Mail?
U.S., damn it.
I'm glad you asked that.
Despite what some people think, it is part of the United States, Patrick.
Well,
So
no,
I'm glad you asked about
It was Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, and I've sent records to Guam.
So
Shitty
yes,
records, but
Media Mail
records
does come to Hawaii, but it takes a long time. I've waited 2 months for a record to come to Hawaii from California before.
Why don't you do an expose on Media Mail? Why does it take so fucking long to get to Hawaii? Because Hawaii from the West Coast is the same from the West Coast to New York. It's 5 hours.
Mazzy, this is one thing people forget about Media Mail. It's the lowest priority for the post office.
Yeah, it's the last thing on the truck. It's
right.
the last thing on the truck.
But here's the deal. The post office is what it is. Most times we luck out where they don't follow the rules with Media Mail and they just send it. Recently, people that won records from my auction, the same day I sent both packages, they sat in LA for 2 weeks. So occasionally I experience the Media Mail thing. But
So I've just posted the link to that one shop I found. It was actually a decent shop, and they're still going. But that was in an island that large, in such a densely populated city for where it is. I was just very surprised. But then that was also sort of 2018-ish, and I guess probably the vinyl bubble hadn't really kicked in at that point.
Hold on 1 second. Chris, there are so many better people to make an enemy of you than Wyatt, but this is your choice. But I kind of feel like I don't know how much traction you're going to get with this. Pick another person. Here, I'm going to donate Mazzy to you, Chris. Go after him.
If I can ask Wyatt a question, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Wyatt. Since we give your channel a hard time. By the way, unblock me, please. I don't know why you blocked me, but you never respond to any of my.
Oh, really? Okay, thank you. I'll make sure to do that.
And I try not to troll, but I do. I've tried to ask you some probing questions on your videos, some of your videos. Okay, since we give you a hard time about the AI feel of your videos, how much of it is AI, how much of it is just purely scripted, I don't know. But I when I knew you were going to be on the show, I went on Google AI mode and said, give me 5. Now, not going to ask 5. I'm going to ask you 1. Give me 5 questions to ask Wyatt Foley regarding the vinyl community. And so here's one of them for you. And it's on the, it relates to what Patrick said earlier. It's on the one-step mastering process. And this is what AI told me to ask you. Given your explicit critiques regarding high-end mastering formats, such as referencing mastering legend Kevin Gray's stance that one step is an absolute scam, what alternative pressing or mastering processes do you believe actually deliver a genuinely pure high frequency signal?
Well,
High frequency.
I think that the three-step process is flawless if it's done the right way. And I think that if I look to the great people doing it, why aren't they doing one steps across the board? They're not, because, you know, I think these one steps sound amazing. I never went after how they sounded. But my question is if a one step's purpose is to eliminate plating processes and bring you closer to an original master tape, then using a digital file defeats the purpose, because a digital file doesn't have those limitations. So those were the kind of things. That's when I say it's a marketing scam or all those things. It's because it sort of is.
But even in the digital, you're still
okay. But get away from that. What alternate processes do you recommend, or do you find best?
I think that the three-step plating process that Kevin Gray or Analog Productions uses, you know, that if it's done right with deionized water. I did a video on how like QRP gets all the mineral rocks out of the water so that doesn't get into the stamper. There's all of these things. And I'm not fully convinced yet that using a lacquer as a stamper sounds better. Now, I could be convinced that that's, you know, the other way at some point.
This
but right now,
better. No bad.
Yeah,
So,
and then
is the three-step process going from the master tape or a copy of the master tape to a stamper? What's the next step? What are the
mother, father,
lacquer, mother? You know, the regular process. But if it's done right, you know what I mean. That's the whole point. And the question is that when you make the mold or make the silver plating, is that a flawless transfer of the lacquer? Now, I believe it potentially is, because people like Kevin Gray and Bernie Grunman and Analog Productions, all these great mastering people are using it. You know, why isn't Analog Productions doing, you know, one steps and all these things? If you're trying to get the best sound.
Didn't Chad used to do one steps and he stopped doing one steps, I believe?
No, he did UHQRs.
I don't know.
Hold on one second.
A long time ago.
Maybe Danny
Right,
and
exactly.
Danny and Craig can probably answer this the best, I believe. With regards to these one-step processes, how much of a is it a this is what we do marketing decision?
I believe it's a marketing decision.
Or
because look at what Analog Productions is doing now. We're getting high-res files from Chad for $60. We're not paying $120 or $150 for a high-res file of Muddy Waters. You know what I mean?
So from my perspective, and I'm sure Danny's got his own point of view as well. So I'm very much in the mindset of right tool for the right job. All of my stuff is three-step process, and it's because I'm doing this on a very tight budget. So every penny that gets poured into my releases is evident in the release. If I go one step, or if someone talks me into doing a one step, because it's not a conversation that I would actually pursue, I have to factor in the fact that if that lacquer gets damaged, I then have to go back to Casper or back to Miles and recut. And that adds to the cost. That means that, you know, if I have to spend another day in a mastering suite, that's around about £1,000. So every time I have to go round the houses. That's adding, and it's not just adding to my budget, it's adding to what you pay at retail, and I don't want to do that. For me, I feel that the 3-step gives me a lot more control over the process, because if there is an issue, if dust gets in the stamper, we can grow a new stamper from the metalwork. Very rarely have we actually had to go back and recut. And in fact, Danny's AI video from this weekend, his Final Detective, where he showcases 3 titles, the 3rd title that he did a comparison with was one of mine, and its original intention was to have been a AAA cut, but as Danny discussed, because of an issue that we had on the first batch of test pressings, I decided, and Casper agreed, it was best that we did some digital restoration work and make it an ADA release. Now, if I'd have gone 1 step on that release, AAA, I would have probably actually had to have canned the whole product, because it would have just been so financially irresponsible for me to go back and cut the lacquers, go back, cut the lacquers. So for me, the 3-step process works. I've no interest in doing 1 step, not because I don't believe in its viability or its credibility. I just think from a financial point of view, I can't run that kind of risk if I'm going to put records out for the price that I want to put them out. I don't want to be charging any more than I already am for the record. So right tool for the right job.
Well, I mean, I want Danny to speak on this, but question to you, Craig. Are you familiar? Whoever owns the Chetsky catalog now, it's not they sold it. They've been quietly putting out these 1-steps that don't cost a lot of money. Like I bought the McCoy Tyner New York Reunion, which is a double album.
Yeah.
For $60. That's the list price, I believe.
And I'm not saying that 1-step adds automatically by default to the price, unless you're going to use it as a marketing ploy. It only adds to the final product price if you have to keep going back because there's a problem with the lacquer. Because when you cut a lacquer, you cannot play it. You can't, if you're with Miles or Casper or whoever, you don't cut the lacquer and then go, right, who wants to have a listen? You can't. That literally has to go into a mailer and shipped off to the pressing plant pretty much immediately.
And of course, all the 1-steps that we're talking about, maybe not those, but every other part of the price, have you noticed they're all in boxes? They're all in boxes with extra printed material. That's why whether it's the DSS stuff, whether it's the MoFi, they're $100, $125 plus. So that boxing, and it's when people are buying those, they feel that the boxes add to the premium level. They don't really, except for physicalness, which is important. I understand that, but that adds to it. Like if Chad doesn't do well, UHQR too. If Chad did those UHQRs without the box, he could do those for $60, $65, like he does the Rhino double 45s or 70 or something. They don't have to.
Aren't the presses that he uses for the UHQRs, it takes a lot more attention. I know they have people doing it manually. That costs more money.
I think he stopped using those presses.
Well, I think they're broken because they've been pressing the records with wrong size.
After I think it was after maybe Miles Davis, there were some issues with the special presses, so he went back to the normal presses. Danny will confirm this, right?
The flat profile presses. I thought
it wasn't even after the Miles Davis; it was during the Miles Davis.
Right,
like
they switched.
Yeah, they switched.
They're back to the normal his QRP presses.
Yeah.
So they're QRP presses, but what about the flat profile? I thought that was how do you do the flat profile?
It adds all kinds of issues to the pressing, because it's not normal, quote unquote, for a press to press a flat record. So you're going against what
apparently
the machine initially was designed to do, right? You have to kind of gimmick it around to make it work. And a lot of classic records were the big proponents of flat profile. I mean, I remember hearing Hobson talk about it days on end at CES. And whatever. Look, at the end of the day, here's what it boils down to. First, unless you had a release, identical mastering, identical source, pressed on all these different formulas, be it vinyl formula, pressing formula, 1-step, 2-step, 10-step, whatever it may be, unless we had a single release across all these different categories, you can't make any kind of a meaningful comparison. Right. So you can't say that, oh, the 1-step is better because of the the 1-step is better than the UHQR because it is a 1-step. You can't categorically say the UHQR is better than your standard 1980 Canadian press because it's ultra high quality vinyl, because it's flat profile, because it's 45 RPM, because it's this, that, and the other. As I've shown, it's all meaningless because a 1980 Canadian pressing will completely destroy it in just about every aspect except for one, which is it's going to be a little noisier than the UHQR. Okay. Mm-hmm. So unless we had all these releases identically released across all these different specs and formulas of vinyl that people are promoting, you can't make a meaningful comparison.
Well, a question, Danny. Was there ever a period in time, maybe when Mobile Fidelity started, that did Mobile Fidelity ever simultaneously do a release when an album came out? Did they do that back in the day? Does anyone know that?
Of what?
When Mobile Fidelity really started heavily putting out their versions of records in like 80.
Classic Records did. They did that with Dido. No,
well, I know Classic Records released. They were the only ones to release certain records on vinyl. Like they exclusively
they would do 200 and 180 both.
Well, right. Here's what I'm saying. And Patrick, in my mind, Patrick's the person to answer this. Because Patrick is
but
the
your
person.
mind is warped, Rob.
My mind is warped because I'm next to you and the smell. You smelled this morning. But Patrick is the one. His gimmick. It's not a gimmick. His deal is telling you the best sounding one in his opinion.
Well, it's my opinion. So, I mean.
No, it is your opinion, but I'll be honest with you. And it's not because I hold you in high esteem. I listen to what you say and I go find the record. It does sound good to me.
I have the luxury of people sending me different pressings. I record them. I keep them over the years. I literally have 20 different versions of Rush Moving Pictures through a hardware chain, through different pressings, whatever, so.
Are you
I have that.
Patrick Wyatt? Or do you know Patrick?
I've seen him on a few live streams. I'm still kind of getting to know everyone.
I suggest you go to his channel, and also go to his I don't know what you call it, Patrick. Go look at all his digital ripping of records.
Okay.
And go and listen to them. It's a very eye-opening experience.
The one thing
I was going to say a few weeks ago, this has to do with the 1-step thing. I don't know if any of you noticed. A few weeks ago, Mike Esposito did his new Arrival videos. And there is an album that just came out that is being a 1-step and a 3-step, the exact same album. And I can't remember the name right now, but he held it up and he's like, now's an opportunity to try to start comparing this. And that is the question, really. Is it really worth it for the sound?
So the one thing I always say is that take everything on a case-by-case basis. You can't blatantly say that half-speed mastering sucks. You can't blatantly say that 1-step sucks. I mean, everything to me is a case-by-case basis. There are great sounding digital releases. There are great sounding like the Cream half-speed master that Miles Shell did of Disraeli Gears the Mono. That sounds fantastic, absolutely stunning. But then again, no, this is a few years ago. But then again, the Exile on Main Street's horrible, so it all depends on what source they get. It's like Kevin Gray. He did some things for Friday Music, and he'll even admit it, that were horrible because he got shitty stuff from Ron McMaster or Jeffrey Agosto, from whoever, and they're not good.
It's also sorry, Rob. It's also each record is literally a sum of its parts, and the first part really, especially when you're dealing with a reissue, is the research. You know, if you just cherry pick a title and go, oh yeah, that'll do. That's not been out for 20 years. You're off on a bad foot already. So it's all about checking out what was possible, what was done originally on the original releases, and research, mastering. I remember I had a conversation with, and I don't know if he's actually in the comments, but Mark Ward from Tracking Angle. I had a conversation with him when he heard that we were doing a particular album, and he was really excited, but he was a little bit reticent because he's not a big fan of Abbey Road half-speed mastering. And he talks about it in his review. If you get a chance to read it, it completely bowled him over and won him over. And for that particular title, it changed his mind. But I think, you know, there is no quick fix, you know, or you can't just pick a record and it'll be great because it's a record. There are so many moving parts, and every single one of them, from the research right the way through to the final test pressing on product, every step has a massive impact on how that record performs. And so it's not just mastering, plating, pressing. There's a whole slew, and I'd love to talk to you about it, Wyatt, at some point.
Do mastering engineers get too much credit?
Do you know what? So
engineers maybe get not as much credit.
I mean, every single step of the process, Patrick. Like I said, it's a sum of its parts. You know, for garbage in, garbage out. If it's recorded badly, there's nothing you can do about it anyway. You can't polish a turd.
Well,
I recently did a. Go ahead.
I want to do a little bit of cleanup with the chat, but I've said this a million times. A great sounding record sounds great on anybody's system. So if it was a well-recorded record, chances
Dark Side of the Moon, case in point.
Right. Okay. First of all, Chris, here's a request. You can change your name of your channel to the Wyatt Foley Parody Channel. Secondly, if you're going to attack me in my stream, use a reference from this century. Okay. Thank you. Second one is Alan. Alan always says that Jethro Tull, Broadsword and the Beast was simultaneously,
and that is not a good MoFi, by the way. That one I will state for the record till I die that is not a good sounding MoFi.
Okay, so is the regular is it a good sounding record generally or no?
Nah, I kind of checked out on that one, but I think the original definitely sounds better than the MoFi.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
From my recollection.
Lucky Jackson, there is a better way to brew coffee. So if it reminds you of that, there's a good way to bring out of fresh beans.
Lucky Jackson, we're going with the rule. Please do not address Mazzy directly.
He didn't.
And while we're at it, Tokyo Vinyl Style, understand irony, understand satire. The whole reason I read an AI generated question was to be ironic. Come on now, we don't have to explain.
Well, you did attack Wyatt originally as an AI generated channel.
Why you use AI to write your scripts? Do you or do you not?
No, I don't use it to write the script. See, I spend hours actually writing script. I do use AI to sometimes in researching things, and maybe like with one thing you can do is like you can pull up things like, you know, Steve Hoffman forum or something instantly, and like if you're using Gemini, it gives you the references, so it tells you where it's coming from, so it'll take you right to the website, and then you can fact check it, like, do you think this is. So sometimes I use it to do research and structure things, but what I do is I talk into my phone a lot when I'm writing. I kind of like have an old school way of doing it. Yeah.
I knew I like White for
so sometimes I'll use an AI to like, I'll talk into my phone and then I'll have my AI read back what I wrote, and then I can fix. So, you know, I use it as like a tool. So when people hear
the sentence structure often seems kind of artificial. to me
Um,
as a
Do you
teacher of
rehearse-
over 30
do you
years.
re- do you
Elliot was a
rehearse-
teacher, so he's critiquing you out of habit. So
As a teacher for over 30 years, I developed the ability to pick out and realize when a student was writing something, whether they were using their own words or whether they were just plagiarizing. And I know this is a little different when you're using AI, but sometimes it seems your script seemed a little over dramatic.
Well, maybe that's because I was pushing it in that direction. You know what I mean? Because so if it's like sometimes that's how you get people to listen. Because if you're explaining science and you want people to understand it, if you start out presenting it in a more of a journalistic way, maybe people listen. So I just saw that comment. I admitted I use Gemini. My scripts are not AI generated, guys. I spend hours on my script.
Do you put them through like Grammarly or something like that?
I use it as a tool.
I use Grammarly.
So,
speaking of
sometimes I go for long drives and I talk into my phone and I write that way.
What Wyatt's doing is no different than what probably all of us do when we're sending an email.
Right.
You know what the message is that you want to send.
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Wyatt, but you're probably just going, tighten this up, make this sound better.
I use Grammarly, which is.
I don't use any of that stuff. I write from my
the heart.
It corrects my syntax, my spelling, that kind of stuff.
Well, I have to admit, I do have a full-time job. I'm not retired. And, so I have to put all this into my free time.
I'm here for Wyatt attacking Mazzy.
Yeah.
Me
too.
And for Rick's, again, people listen and infer. I wasn't saying that in the 1970s they were using AI. I said not their original writing or their original thought. I know it's not an exact comparison, but it is similar. Come on.
So the question about the tattoo, I have to address this. So I do use the AI sometimes to try to make images that are interactive to keep you moving through my video. And so I recently did make an image that had Kevin Gray and Bernie Grundman sitting together at a fireplace. So I was working on trying to make that kind of a cool image. Now, what happened is that
how did the tattoos come to the image?
The AI put the tattoos there, and it was just there. I don't know. I don't think I caught on to it immediately, because sometimes when I'm finishing a video, I just upload it. You know what I mean? And then I look back on it. I'm like, hey, it actually looks kind of cool. It makes Kevin Gray look like a badass in some way.
Rob really was not wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
Apparently, Mazzy has a fixation with me in Hawaiian shirts.
I just hate that AI stuff.
Wyatt, I want to
hate AI.
Wyatt, I do want to address one other thing that you got a lot of backlash about. That you didn't pronounce Steely Dan's Asia correctly. What was that about?
That was just, honestly, as people have noticed with watching my videos, sometimes I stumble over words and I don't say things correctly. That's just me. And that's one of the reasons why I like to look at a script, so I can make sure that when I'm talking about a subject that's really important, that I don't make mistakes and sound frivolous. I want to be.
I'm surprised how many people actually say Asia as Aja. It's like they don't listen to the actual singing in the song where he says Asia. I mean, in the lyric, in the song.
Well,
but people pronounce that album Aja a lot.
Okay, I want to end this right now. Okay, with all this. Wyatt said he's 37 years old, first of all. Secondly, he started his channel 4 months ago. He is finding his way. All the criticism, he seems to be taking it in stride. He is not a broken person from this. Okay?
Makes me stronger.
Right. So maybe he'll be less AI-like. Okay?
And he's learned a lot.
Has anyone other than Super Sense been harmed by Wyatt's videos? I mean,
no. These wonderful chat people like AV Chris. AV Chris has like a literal hard-on for Wyatt.
I was
Well,
misquoted.
What was the motivation for the gatekeepers?
Yeah, as a gatekeeper,
video.
as a resident gatekeeper here.
Who are the gatekeepers?
Yeah,
Name them.
I don't buy this whole gatekeeper.
Name names.
No, I don't
Wyatt,
either.
please.
Elliot,
Yeah,
Elliot,
out them now.
I was misquoted by a lot, and I harshly, directly went after Wyatt. I said a horrible thing. I went after him. We exchanged a few back and forths. I pulled it down. I apologize. Someone was surprised that I was going to be up on a stream with him today. But to me, I will forgive, and I was an asshole in response, but it pissed me off. So
You've been an asshole
I
to me.
totally understand that.
Will you be making
totally
a T-shirt?
understand that.
Will you be making a T-shirt from the Wyatt controversy, man? See, that's what we all want to know.
But really, the gatekeepers.
I support
video,
Hawaiian guy.
There you go.
That seemed a little much to me. I mean, audio files criticizing somebody's gear. Nobody I know does that, and I'm sure.
Sure they do.
Well, if they do, just respond to them and ignore them. You don't have to be offended by it or taken aback.
I did it inadvertently the other day, and I wasn't even trying to. I sat there and told the guy that his turntable wasn't resolved enough to go up against reel to reel. I did it myself, and I didn't. Wasn't even meaning to.
Patrick, was that mean spirited that you did it?
No, it wasn't mean spirited.
Okay, that's my point. Okay.
Mine wasn't mean spirited either.
Okay.
It was a psychological interpretation of looking at the three different types of gatekeepers in the vinyl community.
Who are they? Who are they?
Well, I'll just repeat. I'll repeat it. So you have the people that have $100,000 system that think no one should have an opinion, and they troll you in the comments.
Michael Fremer.
Yeah, there's a handful of those people.
And then you have the platform gatekeeper, successful YouTubers that are intimidated by a newcomer coming up being successful, and then they try to discredit you by coming in. And I've heard this, I've gotten this quite a bit. So people will come in and say, you're just regurgitating old things and that you should be doing original content. Well, I'm talking about science. So why is that regurgitation?
Isn't that a criticism that you could respond to? And
sometimes I do.
Constructive criticism.
So, and then you have the legacy establishment, what I call the grandmaster gatekeeper. That's the person that's promoting luxury products, and that's okay.
Hey,
but the thing is, if you question something, what?
Wyatt, is that person German?
I don't know who these people are. When I made this video, it was never about one particular person.
I think the gatekeeper thing is bullshit. Whoever it is,
I think you're taking it too serious, Wyatt.
It's still real.
Is it really? Is it really?
Yeah, of course it is.
Okay, I'm not.
Gatekeepers of knowledge.
I think you're taking it too serious. I think this is a fun hobby. We're trying to have fun, and we go back and forth with one another.
Stop walking on the sunny side of the street, Elliot Cruz.
Well, if my video gets people that have this,
Elliot, there's all sorts of personality disorders in this hobby.
I think.
Well,
I think the gatekeeper thing,
and there's lots of egos in this hobby.
Whichever group
of course, we wouldn't be on screen or making videos if there weren't egos.
Whichever group you think was going after you for bringing old news, and I was one of those. Whether I'm referred to as a gatekeeper,
I was critical of that.
The reason is because you seem to have, like, if you take the 5 biggest or more decisive videos, were the things that we've been talking about for 5 years, and to me, they're never going to be resolved. Are like 1 steps, or half-speed pressing, MoFi gate. It's all the same shit we already kind of went over forever. And maybe you're going to call us gatekeepers for that. And maybe because we've already ad nauseum discussed that shit, all of a sudden these to be pinpoints that nothing new has changed in it.
So you're upset at Wyatt for repeating the same thing, but you won't go after Rhino for repeating the same freaking titles over and over and over again ad nauseum, as you say.
No, well, actually, because as a record company, they put out stuff that sells most of the time. And when they put something that is rare, people dump on it because it's a fucking share album that nobody wants.
I think the vinyl community is constantly urging the record labels to diversify what they put out and quit putting out the same stuff.
And Capital
But
just
He's doing a
announced
great job down there.
Capital just announced 3 titles, Butthole Surfers, which is a not unusual one. They announced 3 things that haven't been in print.
But-
So I would say
Rush catalog.
to address what Danny
Lo-fi
Kaye said,
just put out.
look,
Yeah.
there in the vinyl community, there is one default personality. It's passive aggressive. Just that it's passive aggressive. Not everybody's passive aggressive, but the default personality trait in the vinyl community is passive aggressive, except this guy who is just aggressive. Okay.
So,
well, one thing I want to respond to Mazzy for a moment because
You know, hold on, address him properly. Gatekeeper Mazzy.
Yeah, there you go.
Gatekeeper Mazzy. I totally understand why these seem like old subjects to certain people, but to me, they're more relevant than ever.
Okay.
When you have 1-steps and half speeds still on the market, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, a lot of these sound great, but the point is people should understand the science behind what a 1-step really is, so they know what they're buying. You know what I mean? And that's all. And I think it's more relevant than ever. As long as there's people that are being asked to pay over $100, they should understand what it is.
But Wyatt, here's the thing: you have to add the mastering to it and the sonics of the master itself, because it's completely meaningless, right? I mean, for example, in one of my upcoming videos, I ran my my dozen or so, I think it's 12, 13 Super Sense lacquers that I have through my program, and 7 of them are worse than my standard copies that I have on regular vinyl. Right? There's only 6 of them that are actually better. So again, you know, lacquer, no lacquer, you know, it's what I was saying earlier and what PB Thal keeps saying, right? It's all irrelevant. It's all marketing.
I have a question about lacquers then, because one of my main questions is, I know Kevin Gray doesn't cut on Fridays, and like Craig says, they have to be shipped off immediately. And one of the things I heard Kevin Gray say is because the lacquer kind of wants to go back to its original shape. So my question is, if that's really the case, then what's the difference between a Super Sense lacquer and another lacquer? Is it a little bit different material?
It's
it's an acetate, so it's slightly
Okay.
So it's slightly harder and a bit more durable, and will take a bit more punishment. I mean, they still need to be handled and treated with the respect that they deserve, regardless of whether it's £600 or something that a mastering engineer has handed you. I've got proper lacquers downstairs that I've been given for reference, and I've got acetates that I've also been given as reference, and I will always comfortably play the acetate, but not necessarily the lacquer.
Okay.
So yeah,
the acetate's like softer material, right? It's not quite as hard, and so because I've had the Journey Escape MoFi acetate, and it was, you could tell that it wasn't as formed. I know with the consistency wasn't as hard, the acetate, as the final vinyl. It's a lot softer material, and it sounds different.
And there's only one.
And I will say this:
there's only one company in the world now making these acetates and lacquers as well, because Apollo in the US, that went up in smoke a few years ago. So now it's just this one Japanese company, and I remember midway through one of our projects, we were just plagued with an absolute horrific bad batch of lacquers, and it was quite widespread. So we had to sort of hold and wait until that was rectified. You know, it's a material that cures, and it doesn't cure evenly. It sort of cures, you know, here, there, and everywhere. So these lacquers that came through from this bad batch had cured quite badly, and they'd actually narrowed it down to the fact that it was the curing room was over ventilated. So as people walked in and the door opened, it created a draft, and that created an imbalance in the cure. And yeah, it just completely screwed us over for about 2 months. So yeah, they need to be handled very carefully.
How does Wyatt feel about the Curie issue? Speaking of the cure, so yeah, there you go.
Sorry, what was that?
How do you feel about the Cure reissues? So, yeah.
The Cure reissues. I haven't listened to much of the Cure reissues, so I'm not going to comment. I have listened to like the greatest hits, maybe a couple of years ago, the reissue of that. But
the greatest hits that came out for Record Store Day, and again, the bio vinyl. To me, it sounds great. It's a great sounding record.
Sorry, that was an Elliot level joke. I was just
okay
because Craig mentioned Cure, and I thought
Wyatt,
it was a horrible joke.
Wyatt, I want to step back because something to connect you to Patrick a little bit is you had a cat there. What was your cat's name?
Cleo.
Look at him.
That's my girlfriend's cat.
Oh. Is your cat named Kevin Gray?
Okay, now we discover there's a girlfriend.
Okay, hang on a second. Why,
there's a girlfriend now.
Now you're not in the vinyl community because you have a girlfriend. So you're
Good point.
Woo!
I do have to admit I can't talk about my videos too much. So
there's the disconnect.
Isn't it interesting that there's very little? At least it appears that there's a lot less women in this hobby. Like if I look at my analytics, I have like 98% men and like 2% women.
There are a lot of women in the hobby. They're just smart enough not to do this shit. So that's the thing.
You're probably
right. Hold on. AV Chris, did you hear he has a girlfriend? AV Chris.
Wait.
It's not a blow up doll, Chris.
It looks like we're kind of starting to experience sunrise in Hawaii out the window there.
Yes.
Oh
shit! Right. You're freaking what? 5 hours behind the West.
3 hours behind us. 3 hours.
5:30 a.m. here. Yeah.
6 hours behind me.
So Wyatt,
sleep here.
Wyatt, a few weeks ago, I sort of welcomed you to the VC in one of your comments where it was all kicking off. Out of interest, what channels do you subscribe to, or do you watch with a sort of regular frequency? Which channels do you enjoy, and which channels do you maybe not? Actually, no, that's not a fair question. Which channels do you enjoy?
Well, I'm still sort of getting to know some of these other channels, but I do.
Hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're supposed to say Rob's channel, of course.
Well, of course, Rob's channel, but
thank you.
I like watching the Steve Westman Roundtable. That's kind of the one that I try to catch. I do watch Mike Esposito's channel. I like when he does reviews, and I think he's pretty honest when he does reviews. University of Vinyl's great.
He's a hack.
Trying to think. It's hard to, I don't spend a lot of time watching other YouTubers, honestly, because I work during the week. So some things pop up. I've watched some of Vinyl Cafe. It's just kind of here and there. But mainly I like to catch the roundtables, see the streaming stuff, and watch interviews. I like going back to the old interviews because they're great. You get the Kevin Gray talking for 2 hours. That's what everyone needs to be learning from.
Wyatt, if you'll unblock me, you can watch my recent review of this new album from American Aquarium.
New Ways
to Lose. It's called New Ways to Lose. And it's available on my channel as I speak.
All right. I'll unblock you for sure.
Watch the video.
I'm going to block Elliot now that you mentioned it. I'm going to block Elliot. So there you go.
Well, hold on. Wyatt, if your musical knowledge is lacking songs about your dog riding in the back of your truck, go watch Elliot's channel.
Or dating your girlfriend, or dating your sister.
My cousins, my mother, those sort of things.
There you go.
You see why? You see the hell they give me.
Yeah, I do.
You see, I don't get upset, so don't worry about people that give you a hard time.
Elliot forgot to tell you that his hi-fi system is powered on moonshine
and squirrels.
And he's got a couple of coconuts, and like for Morse code, what like Gilligan did, right?
Imported from Hawaii, yes.
Hey, Wyatt, maybe your next video should say how the humidity and volcano ash affects your sound system.
I did actually. One of my early videos is I use a dehumidifier in my room because humidity plays a huge role. And I told people if you live in an area with high humidity, you should be running a small dehumidifier in your room with your records at all times. And you'd be surprised.
How many chickens do you have per person on your island? Is there a lot of chickens on your island? Or is that just Kauai?
Oh, there are chickens everywhere. You can't even go to a park without being swamped with chickens. It is a big problem. And there's cats everywhere.
You know, based on that, anybody who collects used records solely or mostly should get an air purifier. Every time I open up used records in my record room, my purifier kicks in to the highest level auto thing. You imagine how much crap is in the air. You're breathing.
And this is a guy that won't clean a new record, though. They're telling you this. The guy that won't clean a brand new record.
I've been cleaning now for 4 years. I didn't clean before that. You're right. You're absolutely right. But because most of my records I bought new, I don't bring a lot of used old records. Musty records.
But you won't clean a new record, and I don't understand that at all.
I clean it when I have an issue.
You don't clean your records?
Oh wait.
I don't clean every new record before I play it. If I
go, Wyatt, go, Wyatt, tell him why he should clean his record.
Wyatt, are you gonna do? How do you clean your records, Wyatt?
Well, recently I just got a humming groove, so I wasn't doing ultrasonic cleaning up until recently.
You have to call it the humdinger. There you
go. And how I was cleaning my records was just microfiber cloth, the wipe down, spray wipe down. But then I finally, got the humming groove, and now I do everything that way. But the water pump failed pretty much immediately. But you have to just fill it up from the top, and it keeps working fine. So that early model,
just get the add-on. Get the add-on that plugs in it, and you dispenses the water.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I'm finding issues with the add-on. Okay,
I have not had any issues with.
Well, here's the issue with the add-on. It's dispersing. If it puts
too much.
If it puts too much water in the reservoir, it doesn't. It's unfortunately for the Humming Guru, it's timed to assume that there's a certain amount of water in it.
So this is what I do. I just count to 20. Just count to 20 internally, and then just turn it off. So
but now that goes against the whole point of it being automatic, because now you're manually putting the water in.
I think I do the 2-minute cycle on new records. That's kind of, I thought they're standard.
And
dude,
why I am a record cleaning gatekeeper. I will admit that.
Oh, good. So you are a gatekeeper. Now I know.
Record cleaning gatekeeper.
No, well, hold on.
Okay.
Elliot, if you want Elliot to wave his finger at you, which there are several subjects, he'll wave his finger. Like Elliot tries desperately hard when someone's their own worst enemy to get them to change.
There's a video of me arguing with Bremer about cleaning somewhere.
Right, but Elliot's he ferments his own cleaning solution, and there's a government paper you referred to, right, Elliot?
No, there's like 100-page paper by Neil Anton. Is that his last name? Anton. He used to clean submarines. He was in charge of cleaning submarines, sterilizing
subs. Yeah.
Oh, he knows his shit.
I sold
Precision Aqueous. Wait. Let's say it. Precision Aqueous cleaning of vinyl records.
Yeah.
It's the manual. It's the manual.
I sold Danny a degritter a couple of years ago. You still using that, Danny?
I am, but to be perfectly honest, with Steve's Perfect Vinyl Forever process, and the latest thing that he's working on and brought to market, it makes the degritter friggin'. I mean, the degritter is great. It's like, it's a one-stop shop. It's well built. Hopefully it'll last a whole lot longer than the Claudio that I used to have, but it still works. Obviously, it does a good job. But when you directly compare it to, as I have in the Catrix, there is a significant room for improvement through Steve's Perfect Vinyl Forever process.
That's actually a good video for Wyatt to watch. Actually, I don't know if you've seen it, but that's a really interesting, very scientific.
Let me interject here. When it comes to cleaning records, it's not the equipment, it's the process and the chemistry. So you can do what these guys are talking about with equipment or with the ultrasonic, but you can also do it. It requires a more of an effort on your part, but you can do this with the most basic of tools. You don't have to, folks, you don't have to spend a fortune on record cleaning machines or ultrasonics. They work
Spoken
great.
like a true gatekeeper.
But it depends.
I'm not criticizing
how
them.
you-
They work great, but you can also do it using proper process with much less. And I think Patrick will
You
agree
can do
with
the
me on
whole
that.
manual thing.
Elbow
but
grease,
It
man.
depends your time
Elbow grease.
versus that time you put in it. If
That's
cleaning
right.
records-
That's a decision you have to make.
Exactly.
So not gatekeeping, just making sure people understand
Right.
they have various options.
Right.
Hmm.
Wait.
I think it's important.
Annie,
So that perfect vinyl forever, I look at that thing, and I have systems that can stack multiple records up there. He's got very little space in between his records on his system. And whenever I've done that, and I've tried it on multi-frequency ultrasonics, and I've done the aluminum foil test, it doesn't get cavitation. Even Fremer does a video on it. I'm not a Michael Fremer shill by any stretch of imagination, but there is science that says that you need a space in between records when you're doing cavitation in order to get the full cavitation effect. So I look at that perfect vinyl forever, and I see how tightly packed they are. And I used to pack mine that tightly, but I noticed they weren't getting as clean. That's just my personal experience.
You need a wavelength. It's a scientific calculation. Neil Anton provides in his book, which is free online. You need the length, a wavelength distance between records and between the record and the wall of the tank if you're going to get full cavitation.
That makes sense. That sounds like the science will get us to the right place. That's what it is. That's what I try to look at for all these things. I see what the science says, and sometimes the science can be questioned. Like Danny was just saying, flat profile sounds like, yeah, that sounds great. And it sounds like, but not necessarily. So it's just an example, but yeah.
We've been talking about these very high end records now, these 50, 100, 150.
Wyatt, I have a great subject for you to tackle next, and I'm being serious.
Okay.
Better Records. This guy, Better Records, where he
Mhm.
claims.
Hold
on, let me finish. He claims that he listens to like 20 copies of the record and tells you and sells the best sounding one. My experience on listening to these are ones Jim has. Visually, they look like VG copies of records.
Oh.
But here's what I understand. They have a cleaning process that is supposed to be like this insane, excellent cleaning process. And my opinion was, well, why doesn't the guy just sell the cleaning process? Because that seems to be what he has. That makes
because it's snake oil. That's why.
Well, I heard it's like a fermented cleaning solution. It's a very specific. I would like to get to the bottom of what that is.
And how come we all don't have how come we don't have we all don't have cartridges with cacti style
I know Rob and I always have this big argument about the Better Records. I'm not a subscriber. I don't do that. In fact, Jim loaned me 2 records and we had a shootout, and one sounded slightly better. The thing that he does and his group does, if any of us went out and bought 20, 30, 40 copies of the same title and listened to it, we'd always find 1 or 2 or 3 that sound better than the other 28 of them. So that's what he does. And
there's also a video of me arguing with Tom Ford about there somewhere. I've argued with everybody.
They have a cleaning process that's very.
I know they have that
secretive.
Too. But he's cleaning all the records. So and just one of them he's emerging as the best sounding. Right?
Exactly.
I think one of the variables.
Let me ask this. We've been talking about these high-end records, $125, $150, $60 records. But the vast majority of vinyl being sold these days sells for between $20 and $30. Most about suggested retail tends to be $30. Do you believe that for the average vinyl collector or music lover, is the difference between that $30 pressing of a record, which is all I ever buy, that and used records. I don't buy these HBCUs or anything like that. Is the sound a significant improvement, or are we just paying for the fact that it is an audiophile record in a nice package?
It's a case-by-case basis.
I think, well, from my perspective, an audiophile record shouldn't have stamper fatigue because it's should be a limited boutique run. So when you buy a $20-$30 record, it's a lottery. You have no idea if that's stamper 5,000 or
$30 records are runs of 500 or 1,000.
Records are pressed in 5,000 anymore, unless you're.
So the whole process of making the record can make a standard record sound bad, like warp, like the 180 gram. I just did a video on that. How a lot of people don't like 180 gram. Well, it's because you need to let it cool. And like at QRP, they have sensors that doesn't open the press until it's stabilized. But if you're doing mass production,
I had a crap ton of classic records 200 gram that were fucking warped as shit.
Yeah.
So, well, there you go. Well,
classics had.
I think that was. But now I think they overcame that, right? Because they're using these sensors inside the presses.
Will they even do 200 gram anymore? I don't think they'll even do 200 gram anymore. I don't think that's even a thing. Well, I think they settled on
the UHQRs, right?
The UHQRs.
So this record that is a new
UHQRs 200.
This record that's a new pressing probably had a run of 1,000. I'm guessing. And so it was $29.95.
Okay.
So is this if this was well, and to my ears it sounds great. If it was well mastered, well engineered, and well pressed, is this as good a sound as one of those audiophile records that sells?
It could be.
It depends.
It could be.
I know. Well, I mean, I gave you those conditions.
UHQR is nothing but marketing, just like One Step is nothing but marketing. It all depends. It's all, sometimes they get lucky. I mean, I've got so many UHQRs where they're entirely too noisy to even have the moniker ultra high quality record attached to them. It's pathetic.
Clarity.
Right? Now, here's a question for Craig.
So it's all depends.
I want to
tell you. You can't say, as long as you have a UHQR record, it's going to be the best sounding record you have. Bullshit. It's the same as One Step. It's the same with whether it's a 45 or a 33. And, one of the commenters said, my Orange Label RCA Dynaflex Bowie is the best sounding. Absolutely. And there's your Dynaflex record. What is that?
We're paying for the fact that it's a audiophile record. I'm getting just as good a quality, given that my ears are 67 years old.
You're that old?
That there are limitations to my system. A mid-fi vintage setup with a ML stylus, by the way. I know why you're an advocate of Microline, and I am too. They're great. I contend that I'm not going to hear any difference in the sound if each record was well pressed, well engineered, and well mastered.
Hey, hold on one second. I want to address
it's the source.
Is anyone familiar? Like MoFi just dropped a bunch of records.
Rush.
One Steps. Well, I don't go there, and I honestly don't look at the MoFi stuff. But I'm actually very. So they just announced a Farewell to Kings. And this is more intriguing to me because this record you can't find. This Donald Fagen record.
It's not a very good record.
It's a digital recording.
It is.
I don't love it either.
I didn't know they were doing television.
That was announced a while ago.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to any of this shit.
Yeah, they're also doing.
So that brings back the question, like now that we're getting high res digital files from Chad for $60, it's changing the game
But
because initially we were paying mobile fidelity for that high res file, right?
do you think there's a placebo effect for some audio files who really who buy every UHQR or every
Hell yeah!
one
Hell
step,
yeah!
Of
and they
course
buy
there
them?
is.
They figure I paid 150 fucking bucks.
It
It better
better sound
sound
better.
better.
There is.
It better sound better. Oh, you get that
Of
with
course.
equipment. You sit there and say, "I bought a $5,000 cartridge." No way does my $500 cartridge sound better
Exactly.
than my $5,000.
I will
cartridge.
say, for
Yeah.
the record, my Unami Blue, which I did get at a cost through a dealer, my dealer,
Your
which
drug
is-
dealer?
which is a $2,500 cartridge. I didn't pay that. Is not as good as the
You paid
ML. The
$5,000
12
for it.
I thought the $1,250 ML, the lesser one, on my gear and my setup sounded better than my Unami Blue. Could have just been my personal taste.
Mazzy, didn't you do a video last year or a couple of years ago where a friend of yours came around and set up your cartridge for you properly? Was that you, or did I imagine
Yes,
that?
it was me.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Have $5,000 cartridge, $10,000. It's all for shit if it's not set up properly anyway. You're not benefiting from.
I mean, I have a digital microscope, all that shit, man. I looked at the SRA. I looked to make sure it was 92 degrees. I went the whole 9 with that fucking thing, man, because I was like going, it can't sound this bad. But it did. It was an Ortofon and MC90, by the way. So I'm not an Ortofon fan. But,
So I have a question for Craig here, because we were bringing up UHQRs and more expensive records. Is one of the things that I had in mind is when you're getting the original master tape, that there's a huge insurance policy. So like for, say, the ZZ Top Tres Hombres. Now, does it cost more money for someone like you to try to get a hold of that tape? And so is there other costs involved?
So the way it works is once you've identified the title that you want to release and the contract, the agreement's been executed, that's actually when you normally find out what sources are available. I've been very fortunate and very lucky in that regard, and building the relationships that I've built, it gets easier. With regards to insurance, so as a company, I obviously have a liability insurance up to quite a scary figure, but they insure their own stuff as well anyway. So it's insured from the minute it leaves their facility by them.
Okay.
What I tend to do, so I have had master tapes come here, but typically what I do is I will have them delivered directly to the mastering suite. If they're privately held by a small independent label like the Gull stuff was for Kaleidoscope of Rainbows and Turning Point, they normally come here. But Universal and Sony, they would go straight to the mastering suite, and they will stay there until I have arrived at test pressing that I'm happy with. Because what I don't want to do is keep transporting it backwards and forwards. Can you pull the tapes out again? Because it adds time. And a set of master tapes, whether they're at Gearbox or Abbey Road, it's the safest place for them. I wouldn't have them here, and I certainly wouldn't play them on the equipment that I have here, even though it's more than capable. I just don't want to be that guy. So you just have to, especially they're not sending out production copies. They're actually sending out the proper 2-channel stereo masters. So you have to treat them with the respect that they deserve, and make sure that you do everything you can in your power to make sure that they are, handled correctly. And that's why also the choices that I make with the mastering engineers that I use is because they have a proven track record. They know what they're doing. Hopefully that answers your question.
So it does add to the cost to have to pay the insurance and the liability of getting that tape.
Well, no, because I pay a liability insurance that covers so many other things. So, I had a record shop that I closed in January. I work in the film industry, so I'm on set. So my liability insurance pretty much covers every and any eventuality. So I don't take out insurance specifically because I'm being sent a set of tapes. It's a blanket policy that covers the sort of business needs. But yeah, I mean, touch wood, haven't had any issues. The only tapes that I've actually had issues with, Danny discussed them on his latest video, but that's just age related, and also because for a good 15, 20 years they weren't in a proper storage facility. The guy that owned the studio, a studio called Morgan, he kept a lot of stuff in a shed in his garden. And then when he passed, the company that bought the catalog found them in the shed, and Dexian shelving had collapsed and stuff was just kind of, so I was surprised they weren't actually in a far worse condition. I mean, they're great, they sound great, but it was just some kind of degradation that you could actually hear, mostly on headphones, not necessarily through monitor. We didn't catch it on the cut. That's the surprising thing. We actually didn't catch this weird, very, very high frequency anomaly on the cut until we got the test presses.
Craig?
Yes.
Craig and people, to everybody here, don't you think also another big thing is taste? People get used to, like, there's some people that love, like, I like Kurt's mastering for MoFi. I don't think PB Thal maybe is not a big fan. You know, everyone has a fan of certain mastering and there are certain styles. I don't like all the MoFis by any stretch, but I'm a fan of some MoFis a lot. You get to know what sounds good on your system to your taste, what direction. Some people think, you know, we know Jason Rojas, and people think that Kevin.
That name's not allowed to be mentioned here, man.
They're too boomy. He's heavy on the bottom sometimes, and someone else is more neutral.
But the other thing is, and it goes back to that whole thing that we were talking about earlier on about being, you know, every record is a sum of its parts. I can never imagine me mastering remotely or just saying, yeah, get on with it, let me know how you get on. I have to be there every step of the way. I've video streamed Danny from one of them last year when we were midway through. I have to be there because I wasn't there when these records were cut, so I have no idea what artist intent was, because the artist is no longer alive to answer those questions. The only evidence that we have, and this is probably something that Wyatt will appreciate, is the evidence that's in the box. And 9 times out of 10, that is just what's written on the front, you know, tones, tails out, track listing, Dolby, no Dolby. If you're lucky, you might actually find a sheet inside the box with, you know, cutting notes that were passed on to the engineer back in the 70s.
And frequently the artists weren't even in the room back then too.
Yeah, exactly. So artist intent is, I have to kind of be there and sort of, I have to reflect on.
And at 4 in the morning, did somebody who did the tape copy put the tape copy box in the master box or in the other box?
Yeah,
we
exactly.
know this. We know this all too well, and Wyatt will not admit the gatekeepers. But there's only one person who knows artists' intent, and that's Michael Frommer. That's the one person.
But the thing is,
the only person.
He's the only one out of everybody.
That's the reason why. That's the reason why I do the. That's the reason why I do the research that I do and listen across so many different copies of the same record before I even pull the trigger on it, because I'm like, you know, can I at least match this? That's the most important thing. Can I match this? Can I better it? Because there's no letter that's been left for me from an artist to state saying.
So Craig, on that point, how many people do you think in these projects actually take the time? Did you take the time like ZZ Top? How many do you think Kevin Gray actually went and got like the Bell Sound, a Sam Feldman, all the different variants? There's not a whole lot of variants for Tres Hombres, not something like Dire Straits, but I mean,
I know what you're going to ask. I would like to think so. I would like to think that that's something that every reissue producer does, but you know, and it would be great if they did, but there's no.
Wait a second. Wait. I got a bone to pick about that, and I disagree, because the whole idea that the Joe Harley, that whole thing happened with Music Matters Jazz. After they listened to the tapes, they were going to try to duplicate.
But that's
those.
different. It's jazz because they rolled
No,
off.
but forget
It's so different.
Well, why not? Why not these modern like a Kevin Gray? Why not master a record? Like some people were all upset that he never heard television, so he shouldn't master it. Why not say, look, I'm mastering it as if I've heard the tape for the first time. Why do I have to duplicate the original record? Instead, make something great out of the tape I am listening to right now.
So Mazzy, here's the thing. The perfect example, Flying Burrito Brothers, vinyl file reissue versus intervention record reissue. They couldn't sound more different. They're using the same identical tape that was done in 96.
And which one do you like better?
The intervention records, without a doubt. Because it just sounds more like a rock and roll record. It's got more punch and bass, and it just jumps at you. The vinyl file, technically speaking, is the better record. It's quieter, very quiet, actually. Probably one of the quietest records from RTI that I've gotten in at least 5 years. So technically speaking, it's the better one. But musically speaking, it's the intervention records.
Yeah.
Well,
how does either one compare to the original?
They sound better than the original. I have an original.
I've got two originals, and I love the original.
Far better than the original.
Yeah. I'm not saying I don't want to be misconstrued. I'm not saying that every reissue producer should be in the mastering suite with the mastering engineer. That's impossible. All I'm saying is that's what works for me. That's how I maintain a complete, consistent track of what's happening with my titles. And you know, a mastering engineer doesn't necessarily have to go out. You know, there are mastering engineers out there that can do this with their eyes closed. They don't have to go out and buy a reversion because what they have in front of them is the tapes. But for me personally, it's a process. Also, I do it because I bloody well enjoy it. I actually love being in that room and watching someone at the top of their field doing something and having access to that, where 5 years ago, that was just a pipe dream. So I will always go into a mastering session for what mastering engineers call a client-attended session. I can't imagine not being there.
Hey, Wyatt, Robert asked this question once before. Can you just answer it, I guess?
Yeah. So if you look to how a microlinear stylus is shaped, it's shaped more like the cutting chisel of the lathe. So it goes to the bottom of the groove. So think of the other elliptical and conicals. They're like a ballpoint pen. So it causes a lot of friction. And RCA did all these studies that I referenced in my video on it, where they actually measured friction getting up to 365 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's where I did my whole video on record wear. But a microlinear is just shaped in a way that it's not, it's spread over a wider, tracking area, and it's not making all that friction. So if you it has like 1,000 hours, it doesn't cause record wear. So I tell everyone, why not try it out? And then also it gives you more detail because it gets down, even like with vintage records, it gets deeper down in the groove and it's giving you things you haven't heard before. So that's my whole thing.
Somebody who's been on the microline train for years, the downside of microline is it's harder to set up. It's more fussy to set up. It's more prone to to tracking force and azimuth than any other stylus profile. But it does track better than anything. It is the most modern profile and is the best and lasts the longest. But it does take some doing. And if you have a moving magnet, you have to be very careful about capacitance, so you don't get that treble rise. If you have not,
but if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
And
we want people to learn how to do it.
Patrick helped me to get my settings just right, and it really works great for me.
And it really is true. Elliot could do it. Anyone could do it.
Yes.
I'm almost thinking Wyatt's cat could do it.
That's literally true. Yes.
Someone was bringing up, Fremer knew Tom. I knew Tom Verlaine. He was my friend, and you know Tom Verlaine. You know, but yet you listen to the subsequent albums that Tom Verlaine put out, and they sounded better, sounded different. He was learning as he was going along. That was his first record. So I tell you, when I have my original white label promo, that first television, and
Yeah, well,
I'll be damned when I pull out the Kevin Gray cut. That is a more enjoyable listen. It's still fierce. It's still angular. It is still an edge to it, but it's not screechy. And I think it's a more pleasing sound now.
But you got a TV between your speakers.
yeah, but let's be real about
That's
what
like
Fremer,
so old.
Hold on. Let's be real about what Fremer does. And him being an ambassador for vinyl and the moniker that he kept it alive when other people weren't into it, I agree with. But most of the shit that comes out of his mouth is grumpy old man shit. So you're telling me what Patrick does isn't equal to the
No.
Well, hold on. The vast knowledge that Michael Fremer has, the fact that he was able to get guys to rewire his house, he has crazy equipment, or what Danny does, that he's attempting new things with technology. Not that Danny's a spring chicken, right? He's set in his ways. Spring chicken. But Fremer's just a grumpy old man. That's what he's known for. And I have a feeling, coming as being a stand-up comedian, in my knowledge and meeting, stand-up comedians are some of the worst people in the world, by the way.
They generally hate themselves.
I got one question for new music or new record by an ancient artist. Is anyone excited or interested? This Friday is the new Rolling Stones record.
I'm excited.
I'll listen to it.
Don't care one bit.
I thought Hackney Diamonds was pretty good. And Elliot, don't get Elliot started on this. Please don't let Elliot start rolling with that buy a Margot Price record. Let's not, or Molly Tuttle. Was it Molly Tuttle? Was that your?
You know, it did come out.
Sierra
before.
Farrell. All those are great artists. I'd rather listen to their worst album than a new Rolling Stones.
Okay. What Mazzy's going to ruin this, but I'm going to say it. What does the Olivia Rodrigo's new album and the new Rolling Stones album have in common?
Well, they're not produced by Andrew Watt, if that's what you're thinking.
That name would never come out of my mouth in a million years.
Well, what's
Andre? What? Andrew Watt?
No, Robert Smith from The Cure. He's on both albums.
Oh, he's on both. Yeah.
Okay. If we're going to talk about something we should be excited about, started shipping last week. The Vanguard Records debut album by Doc Watson has been done by Real Gone Records. I'm hoping mine is waiting for me at the post office.
Real Gone does great
right now. It is a great album. I'm looking forward to hearing what they did with the re-release. Doc Watson's debut on Vanguard. It's got Omi Wise, the best murder ballad in the world on it.
Okay, couple things. I have an NDA, so I can't comment on how Taylor Swift's wedding at Madison Square Gardens. I can't talk about the event. But I can respond to concert.
You had to sign an NDA to clean the toilets?
I will respond to Concert Buddy. I agree about $50 for a brand new album is extreme, is hearsay. However, it's a fucking double album. It's not a single record.
Double album should be $30 to $40 max.
Well, I'm not defending it. I'm just saying, remember, it's not a single record. McCartney's record was $38. That was a single album. So it makes sense, $12 more for a double album. That's all I'm saying. Don't know if it's worth it. It probably should be cheaper. But look, a single Taylor Swift album is $50. So that's
but Taylor Swift can still sing.
So I have a question for the panel here, and I wonder if any of you have thought of this. So recently, we were discussing the whole Pet Sounds thing. Now, on Analog Productions, on Acoustic Sound's website, the Kevin Gray cut says cut from the original master tapes. But a lot of people are telling me that those tapes don't exist. So I'm wondering if any of you have any bigger understanding.
Well, they did. That was 15 years ago. They did exist when they were cut.
There's a rumor somebody took the master tapes to their house, but I won't.
Yeah. When those were cut, those were the tapes. They were there around. They disappeared after that. We won't get into that.
Okay.
But get into it. Do it. Do it now.
That was 20 years ago.
I think it was more than
15.
15 years ago. So it was.
20
What's the
years ago.
statute of elimination?
It was 20 years
for
ago
theft.
because Chad also did the stereo, which was first done in '96. So,
And that's
Well,
all.
That was part of.
and I will,
think
I will
I
we
still
can
prefer
all go back.
stereo.
We can go back to the DCC era. So that's where I think the whole thing started, was the DCC era stuff. So.
Okay.
That was part of my initial criticism of the one step, was because it wasn't from the original master tape, and I was confused that, like, why is this being promoted as an audiophile record if it's a
people are getting
1975
so wrapped up with the master tape. You know, most records we bought history going back 50 years, are not the actual master. Every British
Leland.
band, Beatles, we get a
Yes,
a master,
Wait,
a copy.
Danny, is that a tile from the one of the space shuttles?
What is this?
That's a tile from my bathroom. Wanted you
what
guys
is
to
that?
see it.
What is
It's
that?
a highly,
Is that
highly
for the new
reflective,
ballroom floor?
highly absorptive. My stink never leaves the door. No, I'm just kidding. This is the best sounding Beach Boys you can possibly get your hands on. It's the box set that came out, I don't know, 10 years ago, 8 years ago.
By who? By who?
By Capitol.
Oh.
6 records, all stereo, all digitally refutzed, everything. It sounds fucking incredible. I play this to people that come over, and I put on Chad's, and they're like, dude, put this one back on. It sounds way better.
What is that now? Like $700?
No, I think it's still available. It's $80. I think even Chad still sells it. It's $80.
Okay.
What do you think the source was on that, though, Danny? Do you
Digital.
think they used the original
Digital.
masters? Or
Yeah,
digital?
digital, re-edited, remixed, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Okay, I have 3 records I want to show them. One was a record I've been trying to get that Notes and Tones, shout out to Mike. He had 2 copies of this. If anyone knows Jason Moran, jazz pianist, he puts out his own records mostly.
Yes.
This was a concept album, double album he did that, and he does limited runs, like very few, and it sold out immediately. So thank you to Mike for allowing me to get this from you. Really,
That's an excellent album, Rob. I was fortunate enough to get one of those before they sold out.
Yeah, I think about a year ago he found some copies, but those disappeared right away. Yeah. To his credit, I sent a message. He answered it. Also, this guy right here, Ahmad.
Ooh, I saw that.
Yes,
I gotta get that.
So his records are incredibly hard to get. This is a mono. He does a combination of these oud, Middle Eastern, and jazz. This is a mono. Sounds incredible. This is like a situation, again, where you would listen to this and never know it was mono. That's how good this is. Sounds incredible. And then this is a hard original to get. I know there was a reissue, I think, for Record Store Day, but this Dave Pike on Vortex, which was Herbie Mann's label, more avant-garde kind of stuff. And this is like psych jazz. This is excellent. Hard to find record original of this. So those are records I recently.
Can I show one record, Rob?
You showed one record already.
What? Can I show a second record?
Yes.
Okay. This is Caroline Spence. It's called True North is the name of the album. It's she's a singer-songwriter. I had picked these up inexpensively at some bargain sales. And every time I put one out at a record show, somebody bought it. So next time I ordered from one of the bargain sites, I said, I'm going to get a copy for me, because what is it about this artist that it's selling so quick? Excellent singer-songwriter, reminiscent of Joni Mitchell, reminiscent of Nancy Griffith, and a pretty album cover as well. But her name is Caroline Spence. I highly recommend it, and it's dirt cheap new. Thank you.
Nice.
DJ, those are OG records. OGs.
I need to show just one thing, which I haven't listened to yet, but since people are going to accuse me for continuing my shilldom.
Wyatt, are you taking notes so you can make a video about this gatekeeping?
I did get
gatekeeping.
I haven't listened to this yet. It arrived yesterday. I did get a test pressing to audition of the upcoming Marvin Gaye Let's Get It On One Step DSS.
Nice.
So I will be listening to this starting today for a few days. I have my only other copy is a set, like a 1975 pressing, Motown pressing of that. So that's what I'm comparing to. I don't think I have any reissues at all, and I will be comparing it to that at some point or the next few days or whatever week. I don't know when this comes out. I guess in August or something. But this is great. This is the record. I mean, they issue the last one, What's Going On, a lot, but Let's Get It On. This is the sex one of the two. Hasn't been reissued a lot.
Wait, you're supposed to have sex when you listen to that?
Yes, Let's Get It On. Sure Love the Ball. Remember that? The great hit, Sure Love the Ball. Our generation used to talk about balling. If you don't know balling, Google it.
The vinyl file they did from his last album. What the hell is it called?
I Want You.
It's really good.
That's a great rule.
Yeah, really good.
Which one? Which one? The
That's-
Marvin Gaye?
Yeah.
The double album, the Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, I Want You.
I Want You.
It's really
that's
good.
an excellent
Mhm.
record. And I just want to show this because our VC friends have a new record out. One of our VC friends, Louis Golden, has a new Sharon is Karen. It arrived yesterday. I haven't listened to it yet. I will. He does great power pop stuff. It's really great power pop. So I have heard the file of this. He sent me a file of this in the last couple of months. We've been listening to it as he's been working on it the last year. And it's great that he's doing this. And those of you who are into this, you know, to me, it doesn't matter. But if you're into this all stuff, it's pretty, you know. And it
More
matches.
importantly, is that
no
the
polyline
MC,
sleeve?
Is that
No polyline.
It is a polyline sleeve.
That color matches the discharge that comes out of Mazzy's.
It's about about $27 record or $25?
How does Rob feel about you promoting someone who is anti-Rob? So,
He's not anti-Rob. Louis Golden is not anti-Rob.
Louis' first record is excellent. So I'm gonna have to order that.
It's power pop, yeah. And then I'll do something on
very
this. Grateful Dead, the 1966, one of the earliest performance of them at the Fillmore, literally 6 months after they named themselves the Grateful Dead. This is the 66 performance on July 4th, weekend 3rd at the Fillmore Auditorium. So this is like 6 months, 8 months before their first album came out. So it's very that organ-based thing, not as much long jams as they would do later. A lot of Pigpen, a lot of that more garagey sound before
Noodling.
So who had over 2 hours for Mazzy's first San Francisco reference in the pool? Who had 2 hours over? So.
I had 2 hours and 17 minutes.
I would assume that with Pigpen on it, it's more bluesy, Mazzy.
It's more bluesy, more R&B.
Hold on.
It's a garage. It's more of a garage rock record, and it's kind of cool. I haven't listened to the vinyl yet. I've been streaming this the last week, and it's a 3 LP set only available through the Dead site. I bought it. I didn't get it free, but this period is just a nice period.
I have a feeling a video will drop this week, and it'll go like this: Gravy Train. Is it real, or is it made up by VC gatekeepers?
You know, Wyatt, your channel is ripe for a good parody version.
Yeah, and Wyatt, could you please mispronounce Mazzy's name when you talk about him?
Mozzie.
Call him Normie.
Muzi.
You know, I'll have to say what I've been listening to recently. I actually don't have it right here, but I've been listening to a lot of Muddy Waters, and that Real Folk Blues from Analog Productions.
It's great.
Absolutely amazing. And, you know, a lot of those originals are hard to find. And honestly, I can't afford to get some of these Howlin' Wolf originals. So this Chess 75th Anniversary Series is really a gift to us in this community.
Any of the Bluesville stuff?
How many
Bluesville,
eras?
yeah.
The
How many eras of
Bluesville's one
chess
of the
reissues
best.
are there?
The Bluesville is one of the best overall reissue series going right now, I think.
So, but
Yes.
chess has done reissues over the years, right? So, but were the '80s stuff, were those as good as the originals?
Those 80s were digital,
Those are 80s were digital.
but these sound
These
great.
are better. These are better than the 80s versions. Yeah, and I think Steve Hoffman did some of those 80s versions too.
And there's a flaw. This would probably bug you to death, Wyatt, in the Lightning Hopkins reissue, Storyville reissue. There is a flaw in and I think it was from the original recording of the tape. But there's a there's a static in the guitar or something's going on. It bothers some people. It doesn't bother me really, because I don't expect an old blues album to be audiophile, but I hear it in 2 or 3 of the songs. But it drives some people crazy on the Hoffman form.
And remember,
I have an answer to that. Oh, go ahead.
Those records were recorded over a 10-year period. They're actually singles, so they don't all jive in terms of the way at time they were recorded either.
Well, this Lightning Wells was all one sitting recording.
So I think some of that's baked into the tape, but if you look at like the Robert Johnson Centennial Collection they put out a little bit back, they left the hiss in, but they left the dynamics in. Now,
That's
if you can even
the brown covered.
Yeah. So like, in the 90s when we got Robert Johnson, they compressed it, tried to get rid of all that static, but you can even stream it in your car. You hear the background noise, but you hear Robert Johnson's voice and guitar like you're in the room with him. It's actually quite phenomenal. And apparently the Library of Congress had something to do with that reissue.
In the instance of the Lightning, it's a metallic sound coming from the guitar. That's what it is. So it's not baked into the tape. It was just in the recording itself. It wasn't a flaw in the tape.
Okay.
And I'd rather keep it in there. I'd rather keep it in there than have them try to digitally remove it.
If you've only heard those normal Columbia ones, that the covers that came out with the illustration in the 70s or any other version. Now, of course, these are old recordings. They're never going to sound like pristine. But out of any Robert Johnson record on vinyl, this is the one you want to get. It's a double album. This is Legacy again, Columbia Legacy. These were numbered. I don't think they're really rare. This has everything with the alternatives. They only did so many tracks. But this
37 total, I believe, Nancy. 37.
Right.
And I think it has Riverside Blues on there, which was kind of an addition, which is another great song.
I think at the time when this came out, they found this photograph that no one had ever seen before, because this was the only photograph anyone's ever seen.
Wow.
And then they found this. This is an amazing set. If you want something archival and the best, go buy it now on Discogs. Find this one. It's an Centennial Collection.
If I can add to that, Mazzy, there's a book by his stepsister, actually not a blood kin stepsister, but it's called Brother Robert. It written by she was in her early teens, a child, and up to her early teens when Robert was living in Memphis on and off with his stepfather. She was in that family. She wrote an excellent book that will enlighten you about Robert Johnson. The whole idea that he sold, that old BS about selling his soul for the talent that he had. It's totally bullshit, of course, blown out the window. She shows how he was influenced by so much music in Memphis when he would stay there for long periods of time, and how he's not this this caricature, poor old black guy living sharecropping in Mississippi, but he was a very well-rounded person with lots of knowledge of many different types of music, and he was educated in the sense that he read constantly, and he was not what middle class and upper class whites may have in their mind.
Elliot, I gotta go before the next day comes up, but
no, I have to leave soon now. We're gonna end shortly, but Elliot, I can confirm that Mazzy did sell his soul to the devil to achieve the success.
Someone mentioned that
for subs.
That 3 CD black and white box that came out was surprisingly a big hit in the CD era of that. But this sounds better than that box. This is a better. Yeah. Basically got, I don't know, better tapes. I don't know how they got it, what they did. I can't remember at the time.
I don't think they used the tapes.
No.
There is no tapes. I think the Library of Congress had the metal plates.
Yeah, but they got a better version of them or something at this point.
Well, they didn't compress it. So they left the background noise in, but you got to hear his vocals and guitar now breathe.
Right.
Yeah.
And from what I remember is they didn't have any tapes, so they got the metal plates. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is amazing that they exist. And thank you, Library of Congress.
It's direct to disc in essence. It's a cylinder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the new Muddy Waters Real Folk Blues has Walking Blues on it, if you guys don't know. That's one of my favorite Robert Johnson songs.
By the way, Danny K, this is not praise. Coming from him, it's kind of an insult.
I'll take the insults. I don't care.
And let me just say, my bit of long-windedness about that is merely a reflection of my great enthusiasm for Robert Johnson and the book Brother Robert. I apologize for if I went too long, but that's how good this book is, Brother Robert.
I'm going to look it up.
Originally going to say you contained yourself with talking about it, but you added that little extra bit on the end.
I had a little coda on there.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to thank Wyatt for coming up. He was a good sport. You know,
Very good.
I hope you come off less prepared and moving forward in your videos and show more of your personality and what you're about. But that's my opinion. But thanks for coming up here and showing you're a real person. You're not AI as Elliot thought you were. He was like the main guy. And then, I appreciate everyone's well-behavedness and not going after
Wyatt.
Don't
I appreciate it.
anything too seriously, Wyatt. It's all fun.
Just keep doing what you're doing and what you believe in, and just you, as I said, you'll find. Well, I think you've already found it, but you're finding your groove, and you're going to meet some interesting people along the way, and you'll find some doors will open up, and you'll do some interviews and get some reviews going as well, and you might get some records in the post, and just enjoy it because
become a shill like Mazzy.
Because my philosophy is in 100 years no one's going to give a shit, so just go for it.
Actually, I don't know. I think records are going to survive a whole lot longer than any of the digital crap that we have.
Oh yeah, but I mean, in terms of the things that we say and the things that we do,
YouTube will just be an archival resource for our grandchildren and our great grandchildren to go back and see what Grandpa looked like.
Danny's absolutely right, because I've seen episodes of The Walking Dead where they have a little place area and they have a record player and they're playing records. They're not playing digital streams. So after the zombie apocalypse, like The Walking Dead, there are record players.
Walking Dead is documented history, and I've worked with pictures.
As a history teacher, I can confirm that. Yes,
we're gonna be like Kevin Costner and the Postman, just traveling from town to town, spinning records.
Yep.
All right, guys, I got to run. Wyatt, good meeting you, buddy.
Good meeting you. Thank you so much.
Take care, everyone. Have a good day. Come back Thursday.
All right. Take care, everybody.
All right. Bye.
Are we still on or are we off now?